Yes, guys, how we doing? Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's not stressing too much. Get in the comments, let me know how you're feeling and stuff ahead of the game. So this is going to be our preview of Wolves versus Bournemouth. Second game of the season. Lot to be positive around at the moment, with some signings perhaps coming in finally. What's going on, Dragos? What's going on, Martin? What's going on, Maximus? Hope everyone's good. Henry, how you doing? Hope everything sounds and looks okay and stuff. Still getting my head around this new app and stuff, but hey, it is what it is. I'm joined with Benji today. Feel free to bring your mic and your video on, Benj, when you get a chance. Nice one.
Hello.
How you doing, Benji? Good?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
It's been a very long time, hasn't it, since you've been on here?
Yeah, it has. A very long time, but I'm excited to be back.
Yeah. Everyone say hi to Benji, guys. So the reason that Benji's with me is because he's something of an expert, I would say, to be fair, in terms of players that can potentially help Wolves and stuff like that. So this is a little bit of a joint effort of a video today. Not only are we going to preview the game, but if you stick around towards the end of that, we're going to do a video as well that goes over what we both basically think will be players that we should be looking at in the market, and the players that we've already signed, potentially, like, you know, going over those a little bit more and stuff. Martin says, I like your top. Mate, I'm not going to lie. This is an absolute banger. It's literally my most favourite top we've had in a very long time. It's so much nicer than the old pros as well, because the old pros, like, proper like a sock. They fit you like a sock. Whereas these are nice. They're nice and baggy. So yeah, really, really good stuff. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the game. Let's talk a bit, first of all, about how we think we're going to line up. And I've set this up already, but this is basically an unchanged side for me. So let's talk about that. So as you can see, absolutely unchanged. I think Agbadou had a bit of a mare, to be fair, and that's, you know, putting it lightly. A lot of people think the same, but to be honest with you, I still feel like he's got enough quality to prove himself, you know, against the likes of Bournemouth. I think with Man City, you can never judge your defensive back line, can you? Because you can make one mistake and then that's just going to cost you for the rest of the game. So I've gone for Agbadou, Doherty, and Toti Gomez as the back three. Muller, we'll talk about players properly in a minute, but Muller and Hoover on the wing backs, Andre and João Gomez in the middle. Bellegarde and Munetsi as our 10s and Strand Larsen as our 9. Henry said all of a sudden, and I'm pretty, you know what, I thought about this as well, but potentially could Arias start? And for me, I wanted him to start, to be fair, against Man City. But the problem is you don't know the fitness of these players, and Vitor obviously does. So potentially maybe we will see a different lineup. But I think there was some levels of quality before they scored that first goal. What do you think of this lineup, Benji? What kind of thing would you potentially change if you could?
So I would personally have Arias in. I don't know whether over Manetzi or Bellegarde, because they're both very different players, Bellegarde and Manetzi.
Yeah.
I'd probably start Arias over Bellegarde.
Yeah.
Just because I think we lack some sort of cutting edge on that sort of left-hand side. I thought Manetzi played very well, was unlucky with a few of his chances. And I do think he deserves to stay in the lineup. But I do think Arias should start. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Any other changes, or do you think that's roughly where you think we'll line up?
I think the rest will stay the same. I think we'll see our new signing Jackson on the bench if he's been signed in time.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think it will stay the same.
Yeah. I'll put Jackson there actually, so we can talk about obviously the kind of player that he is, brand new player of ours. So it's probably quite nice to talk about. So who do you think he'd take off instead of maybe Hoover?
Yeah,
Jackson. So let's put Jackson there. So say for argument's sake, Jackson did play. What is Jackson giving us in terms of qualities? On the ball, maybe a bit more pace. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think statistically he's a very powerful player in terms of sprinting, in terms of tackling. He's a very hard-working player. So I think Hoover is a good player, but he's definitely not starting quality. So I think for me, once Jackson sort of inserts himself in the starting 11, it'd be quite hard to see him coming out.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially with, obviously we'll get on to talk about the opposition on Saturday, but with someone like Semenyo, you need a player with pace and strength to sort of track back when he's on the pitch.
Cool. So if I was to say Jackson came on, do you think any other players would benefit to his style of play over the players that I've already put in the 11? Perhaps like a different 10 or something. Who do you think anyone would match up a little bit better with him?
I think Doherty would really benefit, because if Jackson has the energy to sort of push up and also come back, then I can see Doherty making a lot of sort of underlapping runs, which he was quite famous for when we had sort of Adama Traore on the wide right. I could definitely see Doherty, making those sort of underlapping runs, pushing further up the pitch.
I suppose you've got like this sort of triangle thing that we probably haven't been really used to just yet.
Yeah.
With the 10 becoming, a little bit coming in slightly more. And I'm not really sure if Manetzi kind of suits his game. He's more quite direct, isn't he?
Yeah.
So potentially maybe, with a player cutting in, you're probably thinking more in terms of probably Lopez, potentially maybe.
Yeah.
For quality on the ball and stuff. So we might see something like this. Perhaps Doherty comes off for Mosquera. Maybe that could happen if he's fit enough.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty much why I think things will be a little bit more different. I feel like we'll have a little bit more movement and pace with Jackson being on that side. And I think Muller was very nervous against City. So you probably see something like this where he gets to the byline, looks for Arias sort of in this area. Strand Larsen probably covering his run, probably get like Lopez or Jackson on the back post. That's probably how we'll probably look to attack, like probably really trying to get into some dangerous areas basically. And I think Arias does that really well. So yeah, I feel like, there's a lot to be desired. Obviously, Man City, we beat us 4-0. wasn't the best result for Wolves, but I do feel like we saw something that we didn't see in pre-season, which was some character and a little bit of bravery. What do you think about that?
No, for sure. I definitely think we looked far better than we did. Which I remember who our last preseason game, it was Celta Vigo, wasn't it? I thought we looked very slow, very indecisive. But I think against City, we had a bit more cutting edge. And just we did things a bit faster, with a bit more intensity.
Yeah.
Obviously, we still lost 4-0, but I don't think that it's a scoreline that sort of accurately reflects sort of the whole game, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, what about Agbadu? A lot's to be said about Agbadu, wasn't it? I mean, I started this talk really talking about, obviously, he's not been quite as good as we've seen him. Is there a potential, if we make this new signing, which looks like it's going to happen, do you think it's a potential that he potentially might not be there? We see this new signing there instead, and maybe rest Agbadu. Maybe because he doesn't feel like he's got much competition. Very much like Totti, to be fair.
Yeah,
I feel like this signing, although it's quite expensive, let's be honest, but I feel like because of the areas he can operate in, it gives a lot of breathing room to these players that have probably had no competition at all.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the new lad coming in?
So, well, firstly on Agbadu, I think in terms of his on the ball sort of quality, I think during pre-season he was quite sloppy on numerous occasions. Against Man City, I thought he was better on the ball. He did sort of make some good line-breaking passes, which is one of his strengths. But I just think in terms of his leadership, that central centre-back is very key in terms of the structure of the defence within a team. And I just don't see him being as vocal or as sort of assertive as he was last season. So I definitely think he'll start against Bournemouth and probably the game after that. But I think if his poor form continues, then I could see him being dropped. I've seen some people make quite harsh comments about him, saying that he should be dropped this week. I think that's quite an unfair assessment.
Yeah.
But definitely with this new player coming in, which I'm very excited about, it hopefully will sort of push Agbadu to work harder for his place.
Cool. So I've put him as lad because, let's be honest, no one's going to be able to pronounce his name in the stands after a few points. So let's just call him lad. I'm gonna say, right, he's got a lot of versatility about this guy. There's a lot of areas that he can help in. Say Agbadu's having a bad game, we don't have to rely on Santi Bueno. He's not quite up to it, to be fair. Might see a loan spell for him, perhaps. But I've put him in the middle here next to Totti Gomez and Doherty, because I feel like what will happen is, because this guy has got a really good range of passing, I think what's going to happen, you're going to see him go forward, you're going to see these two spread out like this, and you're going to see him absolutely spreading passes out to our wing backs that are up high and making these sort of incredible sort of diags like this. I think that's something that is going to really, really benefit Wolves, because it allows us to get wide, allows us our wing backs to get higher without the pressure of, you know, worrying about where this pass is going to come. I feel like Agbadu has got this in his locker, by the way. I don't feel like he can't do that for sure. But I just feel like with the qualities that we've already seen from Lad, I honestly feel like that's one of the main reasons we've brought him in, because also he's quite technical in general at breaking out these sort of passes into the 10s through the midfield, and allowing Joe Gomez to get further forward, allowing Andre to vacate the space where we might lose the ball or whatever. And we didn't really have that option, really. So that's why I think he might fit right there. Another way we can play him, and I'll let you talk in a minute. Sorry.
That's fine.
Another way I feel like we can play him as well is if Andre or João Gomez gets injured. We were screwed before this signing, by the way. The only real option was to bring Bellegarde on, but I feel like Bellegarde's way more suited to this new hybrid 10 role where he can get wide. I feel like if Andre gets injured, for example, I think Lad fits in exactly where he just was. Vacates that space perfectly. Yes, okay, he's not got the ability to potentially get further forward, but because Andre's injured, João Gomez can do that instead, and he can operate as this almost 6 backup role, which honestly we don't have in this team in terms of that sort of operation. So what I'm trying to say, and I'm sure that you can elaborate on it a little bit more in a minute, Benji, is that the reason we've got this guy isn't just to, get rid of Totti Gomez, put him wide, and then have Agbadou in the middle like this. Everyone thinks that's the reason we bought him. I don't think that's the reason we've bought him at all. I think it's because he's versatile and he can operate in the areas where players might need a rest. Players might need a bit of respite from the action, because let's be honest, we have seen Wolves of old play the same team over and over, get injuries. I'm looking at Neto. I'm looking at, Mosquera in general when he got injured. All these different injuries always come because of fatigue and being overplayed. And players like Lad can essentially solve that problem. Yes, okay, he's probably a little bit better than Totti. Not in terms of Premier League experience, but in terms of the ability to at least, do the job in a decent way. So yeah, I think that's why we've bought him. Benji, do you want to add anything extra that I've potentially maybe missed out on Balovic?
So I think his main strengths are on the ball, just sort of with his distribution. So I think I disagree slightly. I think in time, I do think he could replace Totti. I know he has been made captain or is sort of a key member of that leadership group. But most of our backline, sort of Doherty and Agbadou, are very good at sort of moving forward with the ball at their feet, sort of carrying it in that way. So I think having just sort of a new dimension to the defence to sort of distribute down that left-hand side would be very important. I think if he was to play in the middle of the back line, that would be very good, because I think he was captain back when he was at Slavia Prague the season before last. So I think in terms of his sort of leadership skills, they're there. And then if he were to play in the middle, I think we'd probably need some more defensive solidity, because I don't think his sort of the defensive side of his game is as strong as his distribution. So maybe if you took Doherty out and you played a Yerson Mosquera, then I think that'd be a very, very strong back line.
So something like this. Yeah. Something
like that. Yeah, with top. Well, if Ladislav was in the middle and you played Totti on the left,
cool.
Something like that. Yeah, I think would be a very solid back line. I think another thing that I think it was more when he was playing in midfield for Slavia Prague, was his sort of goal scoring. I think across his whole career, he averaged like a goal every 5 games, which I think for a player who's played most of his games in central defence and defensive midfield is a very good stat. I think that was boosted because he was the penalty taker when he was at Slavia Prague. But I think, in terms of his goal scoring, I think that would be another dimension that this team needs, sort of from set pieces and things like that.
Cool. Well, we thought we'd talk a little bit, obviously, a bit more of a tactical, advanced talking, considering the players and the people that we're being linked to. We were thinking about obviously making a separate video for it, but I feel like it'd be quite nice to just put it all in, really. Nice. So in terms of the Bournemouth game, guys, it's going to be one of them where it's gonna be awkward. I'm not gonna lie. They showed a lot of quality against Liverpool, and Semenyo just looked unbeatable. And like you said earlier, actually, Benji, I'm worried that we don't have the quality to be able to deal with Semenyo at the moment, and players with that sort of quality and direct sort of pace. It does kind of concern me. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, let me know in your comments, guys, what you guys think. Obviously, of everything that we talked about, just tactically, and the players coming in and all those cool things as well. But yeah, Benji, what do you think about the Bournemouth game?
So I think, we'll get onto our predictions later, probably in terms of result.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it'll be a very difficult game. We know how sort of intense Bournemouth like to be with their press. We know how high a line they like to play, how dangerous their attack is. But then at the same time, I do think, obviously Ladislav won't play. He probably won't be signed in time, but I do think he would have been very key to this game in terms of his distribution from the back, playing through the press. Obviously, if Jackson's not starting, I do think Semenyo will give Hoover a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Probably midfield to midfield, I'd say we've got a stronger midfield than they do.
Yeah.
But we can't just completely rely on Andre and Gomez to sort of win the game for us.
No.
So I think we will struggle, but I do see us getting a result. So.
Oh, nice. A nice bit of positiveness from Benji there. I mean, we'll go over what we predict like in a minute, but we'll talk a little bit about obviously Vitor's press conference. Don't know if you saw that earlier. I saw a little bit of it, and kind of pretty sure about what he was talking about and stuff. But yeah. So basically, he was essentially saying that he saw things at City that potentially were quite positive, which, you know, we've said as well. He talked about the new signing in terms of the one we know about, Jackson, and it was very, very positive about his speed and what he can offer us with his, you know, athleticism. Said he might feature in the game. Didn't say whether he'd start or not, but he didn't actually say he wouldn't start. So we could get a little bit of a shock start, depending on how Vitor sees the game tactically. He did say that there isn't any sort of worries in terms of players being injured, which is good. Always positive to hear after hearing, you know, about Spurs and God, the amount of injuries they've got. I mean, if that happened to Wolves, man, we'd be in some serious trouble, by the way.
For sure.
He spoke about Strand Larsen, who we will speak about towards the end when we take you guys' comments. I've been noticing a lot of you guys talking about Strand Larsen in general. But he just said, like, players come and go, and that's football. You know, he wasn't sort of saying that he's our player and he's staying as such, but that's all I'm hearing, by the way. All I'm hearing is he's not going this window, but for sure, like, if a team came in with like 60 mil, you know, on another window or earlier in this window, he probably would have gone. But I feel like it's just too late now for Wolves to make up that kind of player, really. You know, we've already seen players leave that we've struggled to get players in to replace. So I don't really feel like it's in Wolves' best interest to do that, and also power up a Premier League side, by the way, who I think will probably struggle, to be fair, without the likes of Isak and stuff like that. So don't see Strand Larsen going in this window, personally. Sorry for Newcastle fans. I just don't see it happening. I feel like it's too late business. If that came in the start of the window, I think that would have been a different story. I actually think he would have gone, because it's good money. It's you know, it's money, and you know, sometimes you could really take that money and buy players that fit Vitor's plans and stuff, and it could have worked out really well, but not this late on. So don't worry about that so much. He didn't talk about the new signing Ladicic. He didn't talk about him at all. He didn't talk about any new signings really. Just said that he's positive and he feels like they will come, and we haven't got any worries in terms of that. And everything I'm hearing from the club at the moment, I can't talk about it too much, but I can say they are very positive. Like everyone's really, really positive about everyone we've been linked to. If we've missed out on players, it's just been one of them where it's a tough window. There's a lot of teams all going for the same players, and let's be honest, Wolves aren't the most attractive team at the moment, and it doesn't help with our ownership. And I'll never ever, I'll never back down on that. I do feel like it's because of our unambitious ownership that's one of the main problems. But I'm fairly positive about the game. Vitor's very positive. Benji's positive, so that's good. But yeah, it was one of those press conferences. Really, he didn't really talk about too much that we didn't already kind of know about. And yeah, he just said that it's going to be a tough game. Bournemouth for a tough team, and it's all pretty much what you'd expect, really. Nothing shocking in this conference. Benji, anything you'd want to add?
No, I didn't see the press conference, but I think, generally, I do think we'll sign some more players. I'd probably predict, well, on top of Ladislav, maybe one or two more signings.
Yeah.
I think if they're starters or very close to being starters, I do think we'll have a more positive season than last.
Yeah.
But we do need signings in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. Right, let's go to your guys' comments, and then we're going to talk about, obviously, our predictions to the game, which is always my least favourite part. So let's go through the comments. People are worried about Strand Larsen. I saw this already. It's basically came out in the media. Liam Keane and Nathan Judas said apparently that Wolves would be happy to get rid of him, but they kind of leave out the very, very definition point, which is not in this window, because it wouldn't make sense business wise. It wouldn't make sense for him either, to be fair, because let's be honest, he'd be replacing Isak. He'd had no pre-season with Newcastle at all. Wouldn't he rather join them when he's a little bit more assured of the project? Because let's be honest, their players are leaving as well. So I don't think it's a good idea for him, to be fair. But yeah, quick talks about Strand Larsen. Benji, what do you think about the potential of him leaving?
I do think he'll stay, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's sort of as cut and dry as that.
No.
I do think if they were to sort of offer maybe 65 million plus with sort of favourable sort of payment terms, then I could see him leave. But as it stands, I'm leaning more towards that he'll stay.
Yeah.
But obviously, if Isak does leave, because at the moment I think they're operating under the assumption he'll leave.
Yeah.
And their budget's probably around 50 million for a striker at the moment.
Yeah.
But if Isak were to leave, then obviously they would need immediate replacements. So I think as it stands, he won't go. But if Isak leaves, then I think anything's possible.
In terms of the player, by the way, all I'm hearing is, he's open to the move, but he's not said he'd actually want to go. He's not changing his profile picture to a black profile picture and deleting all of his social media like a scrub. He's not doing that like a lot of players are. By the way, if we want to talk about that is honestly we've seen it with Matheus Nunes. It doesn't end well, guys. It you think that you earn a load of money, you can just treat a club the way you want to treat it. You're under a contract, you're under an obligation, so you should be staying in there. Do you know what I mean? You should be thinking, actually, I'm under a contract, let's behave. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it with Ryan Aït-Nouri. He could have left at any point, but he was under contract. He waited for Wolves, waited patiently, and no one cares. Like Ryan Aït-Nouri got cheered in the game, didn't get any abuse whatsoever. Matheus Nunes comes on, gets pelters, and I'm not even shocked, and I'm not surprised. North Street coming in with the facts as always. If JSL is sold, I will not use my season ticket again. The problem is, it's not because we're thinking of selling him, because like there are probably better strikers out there that we could get if we got 60 odd million. Let's be honest. But the potential of actually replacing him in this window with this amount of time is just stupid. Like it's like it would be like shooting yourself in the foot basically. And you are, like I said, just you're armoring a team that I think might struggle this season. Like there's a lot of teams, by the way. We'll get into like things in a minute about, you know, predictions and whatever. But while we're talking about teams that struggle, I genuinely think there's a lot of teams out there that could be in hotter water than Wolves. You know, everyone's saying that Wolves could go down because of the loss of quality of Cunha and everything, but I don't think that's the thing that you should be thinking. I think it's more of the fact that Tottenham can't seem to buy a player. They can't seem to actually get a player wanting to come to them. Newcastle are the same. You've got West Ham that could potentially be losing Paqueta. You could, you know, they've already lost players. They already don't look great in the preseason. You know, you've got Forest. Nuno has just come out and said that he's not happy about things, and that could go sour really fast. There are a lot of teams that are struggling in terms of mentality, I would say, and Wolves don't seem to be struggling mentally. It's just like on the pitch, we don't see enough to be confident. And you look at the players that we've got rid of, and that's why the media just jump on us. That's why they look at Cunha going, they look at Aït-Nouri going, they look at Semedo going, and they go, oh, they've lost their best players. That's it. Let's put them in the relegation zone. But then you don't think about the likes of West Ham, who genuinely look like they're in trouble. Like they really, really look like they're in trouble. You know, they just lost to Sunderland. Like that, we just lost to Man City. Like, do you really? Who would you rather lose to? You'd rather lose to Man City, wouldn't you? Because Sunderland are obviously just come up. No disrespect to them. That's where you're going to get your points in it. Really, that's where you target at least to get your points. And if you can't do that, that's where you start to struggle. But yeah, Benji, what are your thoughts on you know, how Wolves could potentially get relegated, and the teams that I think are in hot water? Are any of the teams you could mention that potentially are in a worse spot than Wolves?
Fulham. I don't think Fulham have made any signings, and I know that their manager's not very happy. So maybe he might walk. I think as it stands with the squad right now, I wouldn't say 50-50 for relegation, but I do think we would be in trouble. But I think if we get Ladislav plus 2 more signings, I don't think we'd get relegated. But like I said, it depends on the quality of those signings. The thing is, I heard a quote from someone the other day that was like, quote. It was basically that a team is never as far away from they want to be as like the fans think. So some Wolves fans might say, oh, you know, we need 5-6 signings. I do genuinely think if we were to get 2 sort of starting quality players, sort of an attacking midfielder, a central midfielder who can sort of push Gomez and Andre, I genuinely think we could push up the table. But it remains to see if we can get that business done. Yeah,
it's true. To be fair, I personally, I just, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I see other teams struggling, and I don't see the likes of like Burnley, for example, you know, causing us any trouble. So, you know, I just don't. I see us struggling, but I don't see us getting relegated.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't see it. Like, yes, okay, there's always going to be struggles when the likes of Liverpool and all Chelsea and all these can just spend. I personally don't think United are in a great situation because, yes, they've replaced their front three, and it looks very, they're probably going to bag more goals in, but they haven't touched the defense, and they're only just sorting the goalkeeper out. And I think that's where they struggled more last season anyway. And in the midfield as well, that you've got Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes. That could be outrun like crazy if we play them. Like Joe Gomez and Andre are going to make them look like clowns, to be honest. So
yeah,
there is a potential that Wolves could still do really well. Yes, we have to maintain the players that we've got. We have to keep the depth as well. I don't really want Hwang to leave just because of a depth situation. But I do think, yes, okay, we could struggle for sure. Definitely could struggle. But I don't think it's as big a worry as what the media are making out, basically. That's my opinion, really.
Yeah.
Let me just check the comments real quick. Yeah, so Changer says, Fulham have spent $500,000 on a backup keeper and a naff all else. They could struggle. Yeah, you said that, didn't you? West Ham are in serious trouble. What's going on, Joshy? Says, how are the lads doing? Yeah, all good. Why aren't we moving for Uche? This is an interesting one. I can't say too much, but Wolves are very much looking at a central attacking midfielder that can be pushed further back should they need be into that 6 role. That's something that Wolves have basically been marketing practically the whole window. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind, someone like that who can solid up past spine for sure. Play along that front three and also in the spine. Yeah, that's a great shout. And at the end, by the way, we are going to talk about what players, Benji thinks that we Wolves should be aiming at, and I'm sure you've mentioned one there. Yes, Jagos, thank you very much for that, mate. It's a very much a work in progress, this, so I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. Relegation battle of 7 teams, says Max. Maybe, I reckon, even 6. So yeah, it's a potential, isn't it? Yeah, there could be one of those where there's a lot of teams fighting for that middle table sort of area where you just about getting into the top half of the table. I feel a lot of teams will definitely be doing that for sure. Danny's moving into top 6 media content now. He is back. That's so nice. Thank you so much, man. So yeah, I have the ENS. So have the ENS lads caused me more panic than needed? Absolutely, yes, they have. It's not that they're reporting non-factual things. They're reporting things that in another window genuinely could happen, or in the earliest part of the window could have happened. And Wolves are always going to say that a big fee is going to make a player's head turn, because let's be honest, we're all human beings. But I don't personally think that's an area in which we can afford to sell anyone. So I don't think it's on them as to say they're lying, because they're not. It's factual. We know for a fact, Strand Larsen could go. Just don't think it's now, and I don't think there's enough time to replace. Fulham, Brentford, West Ham, Everton, Leeds, Brighton, and Burnley and Sunderland are all beatable sides. Wolves must have a stroll in the park when facing them. I wouldn't say they got a stroll in the park as such, but I would say that they're all teams that, on paper, we could get something out of them. I don't feel confident against any team in the Premier League, by the way. I don't feel like I'm like, yeah, we'll get 3 points from this, no problem. I don't have that sort of confidence really in the team, but I do feel like we can give teams a go. I saw something in City where we looked fairly positive in spells. But yeah, what are your takeaways in terms of what everyone's saying, basically, what like all the comments I've brought up. Is there anything you want to add to any of that, Benji?
I don't think so. I mean, with that comment about that list of sides, I definitely think we can get results against them. I'd probably say Brighton. Brighton are a very good side. Obviously, they've lost João Pedro, and I think they're going to lose a couple more players. But apart from that, I think Brighton are a very good side. But I think out of those list of teams, like I said, if we get some really good quality signings in, we could finish top of those sides, above all of those sides. At the same time, if we don't, then anything can happen. So yeah, I definitely
yeah, true. Right, so we've basically talked about Bournemouth. What do you think your predictions are, Benji?
I think we'll get a draw, and I'll probably say 2-2 is my guess. I'll go 2-2.
Goal scorers?
Arias and Jackson. We'll go Jackson scoring his Premier League debut. And probably for Bournemouth, maybe Evan Nilsson and probably Semenyo. Yeah,
Semenyo is going to score, and let's be honest. Evan Nilsson loves a goal against us as well, doesn't he? Who was that lad that scored like 3 penalties against us?
Oh, Justin Kluivert.
Yeah,
I think he's injured, so hopefully.
Hopefully that doesn't happen again, because that was bloody mental, wasn't it? That. I think I predict. I'm going to be positive on this. I think Wolves might scrape something. I feel like because we gone up against Man City, the lads had to run, the lads had to work. You know what I mean? And I feel like Bournemouth aren't anywhere near as good as Man City, and potentially maybe that could play in our favour. The fact that we've played quite a hard team so early on, it could be a bit of a wake up call for the players and for Vitor. A lot of people have said, because of how we've unperformed recently, potentially maybe it's good to do that now, so that we're not relying on points against the likes of Man City. Do you know what I mean? It's probably better to play them now, get that out the way, think about what went wrong, think about where we can improve. And I think Bournemouth's a good test for sure. They're a very, very good side, very well drilled, but I don't know, I can see something out of this one. I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves.
Nice.
I'm going to go Strand Larsen, man, because Strand Larsen needs a goal like I don't even know what, and it could be a really good moment for him. And I'm going to go with Arias as well, just because of North Street says 2-0 to them. Yeah, potentially. I mean, it could go either way, really. They are a very good team, and they can hurt us with pace and ability. We'll see what happens, but whatever happens, we just got to keep backing the team up at this juncture. Really, like we're getting to a point where we're getting to near the end of the window. We've made some positive movements. It's not been great, but you just got to back them. You got to back the lads, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? And we've made a nice kit, so that's one thing.
Yeah, it's a very nice kit.
Yeah. Desmond says Max 3-1 Wolves, says Abdul. I hope that happens, mate. Larson 2, Lopez 1. That'll be lovely. Changa says haven't lost away at Bournemouth since 2015. 4-0 Wolves. Arias gets them all. What is that? That's amazing. Mate, if that comes through, I'm going to be gutted for you, because you should have put something on that, because I guarantee you, mate, you'd be a millionaire if you put something on that.
Yeah, I'll shave all my hair off if that happens. Yeah,
yeah, there it is. You've heard it here first. Yeah, man. I mean, some positive stuff there, but we've got to also be thinking as well. It's not been looking great. Bournemouth are still very good. They were good against Liverpool, so let's reserve our judgments a little bit in terms of the 4-0s. Then that's kind of mad, but I feel like we could probably scrape one. We could probably scrape 3 points. I just hope for a draw, to be fair, like you do. To be fair, Benji, like it's something to build on, point to build on. Even I'd take a 0-0, to be honest.
Yeah,
just a point, just to build on is very important at this stage. And it affects us more than them, really, if they're getting a point at home. So yeah, I wouldn't mind a point, to be fair, but
Yeah.
my heart says 2 on Wolves. Yeah. Right, so we've come to near the end of the podcast. We're going to talk now more about things that Benji's got set up. He's now going to talk about potential players that we should be going for. I think that you've sorted a list where it's sort of like players that we could get, and then players that are just like we probably would never get, but they're the style of players that we should be looking at.
I think it was a budget option, a unrealistic option, and then my sort of choice.
Yeah.
So for the number 10 spot, my budget option was I'm trying to remember what nationality he is. I think he's French. He's a player called Pablo Pagis from Lorient. Had quite a good season in Ligue 2 last season. Can play all across the front line. He's got good potential. I think he'd definitely be someone we should be looking at.
Yeah.
Probably cost maybe 10, 15 million euros.
Yeah.
Something like that. My unrealistic option, I was really annoyed about this. I had down Julio Enciso of Brighton. And he's just moved, he's just gone to Chelsea, actually, to be loaned out to Strasbourg, which, you know, whatever you think about multi-club model, you know, it drives me insane.
Yeah.
In terms of the price, he went for only 16 million euros, which is definitely within our sort of reach. Obviously, when Chelsea comes knocking, you know, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And my choice for the number 10 spot is someone we've already mentioned, and I released a video on him yesterday, and that is Uche, the player that a lot of people have been sort of calling out for. I definitely think for 15 million euros, he would be sort of a very good option. He's sort of very similar to Menetzi, I would say, but he's probably a bit more mobile. So just think having him in the squad to sort of dovetail with Menetzi. You know, if you've got 60 minutes of one, you know, giving their all, and then 30 minutes of the other, giving their all, I think, you know, in sort of the last 30 minutes when teams are more prone to mistakes, you know, chances will be created through their sort of physicality, their hard work. So I definitely think Uche would be my sort of choice for that number 10 spot. In terms of central midfielders, so my budget option was Sambi Lokonga, who was a player that is owned by Arsenal, but he had a couple loan spells. I think one was at Luton the season they were in the Premier League. And last season he was on loan at Sevilla. He's sort of quite similar in profile to Andre, I would say. He's very good, sort of tidy on the ball, but he likes a tackle as well. So I think he'd be sort of a good budget option. But my the unrealistic option was a player called Quinton Timber, who plays for Feyenoord. He's the brother of Arsenal's Duran Timber. He can play sort of anywhere in midfield, both, you know, defensive, central, attacking midfield. You know, he loves a goal, just a real box-to-box player. He's quite similar to a João Gomez, I would say, probably with more goal threat. But you'd probably be looking at upwards of 30 million euros. That's price bracket. He's been linked a lot to West Ham recently. So if that is true, then I don't think he's beyond our reach. But I'd say it's quite unrealistic. My choice for a central midfield signing would be Hayden Hackney from Middlesbrough. So I think he's another one who's been linked to West Ham and quite a few other sort of lower end Premier League clubs. He'd probably be looking about £15 million. And he's sort of, in terms of his on the ball quality, his hard working style, again, is very similar to what we already have. So he'd be a good sort of backup option who would also push, would push Gomez and Andre. And I did compile a list of centre backs, but obviously that's kind of redundant now that we've signed Ladislav. But that's he's a player I'm really looking forward to. I released a video on him yesterday, just sort of like a quick
Yes, yes.
Player.
Yeah, check out our shorts. Benji works on our shorts, and they're really, really cool to watch because it's very bite-sized, information. It's not just me talking for like an hour to whatever. It's very bite-sized and it gets right to the point. So check out our shorts in future for those sort of things. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, there's definitely some players I think we'd look at. I released a short this morning on Mark Cassidy, who's sort of a central midfielder we've been linked to. For me, he'd probably be sort of a very dream signing, very unrealistic. But if that was one to get over the line, then I think that would be a very smart piece of business. Smart piece of business.
Yeah. Neil, we talked about Labislav at the start of this stream. We're gonna have this stream as something you can watch back later on. So what I recommend, instead of us going over it again, just rewatch this from the start when it comes back on after as an actual video, because we went quite in depth really about him. But long story short about it, if people are joining, because there's 1,000 people here now, which is mental. Thank you very much for joining in, guys. For the 1,000 people watching, I guess we can briefly talk about him. We think that he's going to be a very versatile option for Vitor's side. We don't think he's just going to be pigeonholed into taking Totti's or Agba's spot. We don't feel like he's going to be one of those that we introduce straight away. And yes, okay, the figure, would suggest otherwise. But let's be honest, we don't want to just throw a player into the deep end. We do want them to warm up to the side, regardless of how much they are. And I do feel like, yes, he will be a starter in the near future. But I feel right for now, it's better to see the players that have got some Premier League experience and what have you, and see the players that are going to be a bit hot under the collar. Seeing this guy on the bench, because he can be pretty much all the way across the back three, and he can also play as a 6 or an 8. So there's a very versatile player there, and we were saying, weren't we, Benji, at the start, that not only is he a good option for obviously the team and to strengthen the team, he's also a very good option for injuries and for fatigue in general, because Wolves of old have struggled with fatigue like crazy. I mean, I've seen some of the training numbers that we had not so much last season. Last season was fairly good, really, other than potentially like Hwang and Cunha at times were in the red, and it was quite dangerous. But I remember under Gary O'Neill at one point, like pretty much every single player was either orange or red in terms of fatigue levels. And a lot of that just genuinely came down to versatility and squad depth. Now, squad depth is one thing, but having players that are versatile is one of the major reasons why Nuno's Wolves did so well, because there was so much versatility in that squad. We could have players doing different things. Whereas for a while now, to be fair, we've been pigeonholed into a squad that only fits one way, really. So I think, yes, okay, he's quite expensive, but for the fact you get versatility from a player like that, for a fact that obviously he's good from a penalty spot, which, let's be honest, probably doesn't help Wolves, considering we didn't get a single penalty last season. But I do feel like there's a good player there, and I'm really excited about it, because don't feel like we've made a sign of that quality in the back line pretty much in the whole of the Fosun's era, really. I mean, back in the day, I was like, oh my god, we signed Bolly, and he was absolutely awesome in the Championship. And since we've come into the Premier League, I can't really come up with one amazing defender. Can you? Like, it's
other than Agbadou, and probably maybe Dawson in his first 6 months at the club. But in terms of that, just sort of long-term
mainstay.
Yeah. And I think something that's quite interesting is that all our defensive signings this window, I think, for most of their career, have played in a back four. I think maybe other than Jackson.
That's true, yeah.
So I think, if worst comes to worst and we were to sack Vittel, or he was to leave, or maybe best case scenario, maybe next summer he sort of looks at the squad and goes, okay, we want to progress, we're going to move to a back four. I know a lot of fans would sort of hate that suggestion. But, if Ladislav and maybe Agba was to return to full form, I think that'd be a very sort of promising centre-back pairing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, I think, for the future.
Yeah, I'm hearing, by the way, a little bit of news that not the best outlets, but a couple of outlets are saying that Wolves are interested in Uche. From what I was understanding, it was quite up there in terms of what Vitor wants as a profile and player. And I think it's about 15 million, I think, that he would go for, which is not completely breaking the bank for a player that would give you a lot of athleticism and some good on the ball stuff. Because I feel like sometimes a lot of our players can be shook off the ball quite well, really, and you can see that in Arias. He holds the ball really well, and it stays to his feet, and that's worth its weight in gold, man. Because some of our players, like Strand Larsen, for example, it's so easy to tackle him. Like, as soon as the ball comes near him, it's a bad touch, or he's not quite made the right contact with the ball to put it under his spell. And 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, at the moment, the ball's not really being held up to him. So I think we're changing it up because direct through the middle's not working.
No.
It's just not. So I feel like we're trying to use the wing backs and stuff, but to do that, you need someone with a good, long direct pass. Agbadi's shown that in glimpses, but not enough convincingly for me. And that's another reason why Ladislav's a good option, because he can offer you good width from a good ball further back. Kind of like Cody, really, similar to how we used to play with Cody. Switching it up and stuff. We don't do that quick. We don't switch up quick enough, which doesn't really lead to many attacking scenarios because we're so bunched up on one side, and then the ball comes all the way back round to this side. But it's like we can be followed. Basically, it's not a quick transition in switching. So, long story short, Labislav, good player, and will help us a lot. But yeah. So we talked about players that we potentially should be going for, Benji. Is there anyone that you really, really don't want Wolves to lose?
I mean, other than like just sort of the spine of the team, which is, your Agbadu, your Gomez, your Andre, your Larson. I think there's a lot of players that could leave that I wouldn't be disappointed by. So Kwang is someone that we haven't spoken much about. I think if we were to get a replacement and just sort of the terms of that Palace move were a bit more favourable, then I definitely think he's someone who I would like to see leave.
Yeah.
If all the conditions were met. But bar that, there's I think most people could guess the players I wouldn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And apart from that, I think if the terms are right, I wouldn't mind some players leaving. Like Sam Johnston, for example. Yeah,
it's a fair point, to be fair. And I feel like what people are forgetting, especially the media, by the way, is the fact that yes, we've got rid of a lot of players, but a damn sight good amount of those players that should be leaving anyway at this point in this juncture. Like, you look at some sides that we're going to play in the, I always come back to Man United because I don't like them. But there's so many players in that United side that shouldn't be anywhere near that team anymore. And one thing I do like about Wolves this season is we are getting rid of Deadwood. We are, we're trying to get rid of Fabio Silva, who's just, taking up wages and whatever. And we did offer Semedo a contract, but he turned it down. Do you know what I mean? Like, Ait-Nouri was always going to leave at some point. Probably stuck around longer than we assumed he probably would. But yeah, Neil's got a good point here. Who is going to be our backup striker? And to be honest, I'll answer that if you don't mind, Benji.
Yeah, no problem.
I think Sasha Kalajdzic has looked good this season so far. In the preseason, he's probably one of the players that was doing more with the ball, in terms of getting into the byline or looking like a threat in general. I think Sasha Kalajdzic could be, one of those, as long as he stays fit, a bit of a surprise, because he does kind of work under this new Vitor thing of being more direct. He's a tall guy. He can get the ball under his spell a lot better than Strand Larsen. The only thing I'm worried about, obviously, is his injury record. In terms of players after that, I've seen good figures from Matthias Mane. Looks good in the under 21s. Definitely looks better than a lot of those players, to be fair. Not really a lot in the academy to be writing home about. But Matthias Mane does look like a player that I think probably towards the end of the season we see some of him. That's kind of someone to be thinking about. But you are right, Neil. We are very light in terms of striker, and I think that's what we're looking at now. Really, we're looking at either a cam and a striker, or someone who can do both. Pretty much, that's the level of player that we're looking at now. So yeah. Admiral says Sam Johnson. It fits Vitor's system perfectly, distribution wise. Is a notch above knobbly shaky Jose. I disagree. I think Jose Sarr is our best goalkeeper. He's not very good, let's be honest, at being that sweeper goalkeeper that Vitor needs. But I still think he's better than he has been. Like I've not seen anything as of yet to say that he's like been utterly rubbish. I don't think any of the shots against City, I mean, they were just quick fire shots into the bottom corner. Like, you're never going to save those. It's just impossible. Like, you've got to be like supernatural to be able to keep some of those out. I like how he's starting to catch, by the way. I've noticed that he's starting to catch from set pieces now instead of punch. I've noticed also since the preseason in that City game, I didn't see any shaky moments where he was caught out of position for silly reasons. So hopefully, we've seen the last of all of those little problems, and we can start to see the better side of Sarr, because, like Neil just said, probably one of the best shot stoppers in terms of player running down your neck. I reckon I'm pretty confident with Sarr when it comes to shot stopping. And yeah, okay, we could be looking at other goalkeepers, but I just don't. I feel like there's so many areas that needed sorting in this window. I feel like goalkeeper would have just been a bit silly. Bentley's not good enough for me, just championship level. Sam Johnston probably could be Premier League quality, but the only problem is I don't think he wants to be at Wolves, and you don't want players that don't want to be at Wolves, let's be honest. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. But yes, guys, I think we're going to end it there. Just over an hour. 1,000 of you here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, guys, please. We are aiming to do as many videos as possible. On home games, I will be doing match vlogs, which is new to the channel. And the first one's gone down really well, so thank you for that. I'll be doing those on home games, not on away games, just because just probably won't get time to be able to go to many, to be fair. But yeah, it's been fun. Benji, anything you want to add?
Not that I can think of, no.
No. But probably what I'm going to do is take snippets of what we've talked about in terms of non-preview stuff, take those as snippets and put them in an actual video, so we can sort of do both things at the same time. But yeah, it's been really good time, guys. I won't be here actually. I'm going for a stag tonight. Sorry, tomorrow, up until Monday. So I'm not going to be available for the match review. So whether that's going to happen and someone else does it, I'm not sure. But we'll talk about that. Don't worry about it. Regardless of that, come on, Wolves, get us some points, at least a point, you know. And then hopefully we can start going for some more pints with Vitor. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, Benji. Absolute legend. Thank you for being back. And like I said earlier, make sure you're checking out his YouTube shorts. He's also going to be doing some actual YouTube videos soon as well. And you've obviously seen a little bit of snippets of that today in terms of, you know, players that Wolves probably should be going for in the future, in terms of how Wolves should be playing, you know, in general, like tactics and stuff. He's really, really good at those things. So yeah, be looking forward to those. But yeah, make sure you're liking, subscribing, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Yeah.